If you want to pour the first one, which is the Granietsteen, which is old vine Chenin.
Yes, so the first one we're going to have is the old vine Chenin Granietsteen.
Was this like the first one when you thought about the Scions of Sinai project back in the sort of the 20-teens? Was this one of like the wine that you were thinking of when you were putting it together, or it seems like obviously Granietsteen with the cornerstone. It does seem like the cornerstone of the range as well.
Yeah, this was the first vineyard also on board.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one I knew I have to work with and get demarcated and settled in and be as a stalwart of what I want to work with. And so it's kind of a flag bearer for the first of the old vines that I got on board.
Yep.
And this was, this is a 1978 old dry farm bush vine vineyard. And all of these vineyards in some or another way is unique to Stellenbosch on its own. And it has to show that as well. So here we're sitting with, just to quickly speak about Stellenbosch, I mean, all of us know the region, so I don't have to go into too much detail, but I find it quite an easy way to dissect Stellenbosch and not just see it as a whole area is 4 mountains, clay, and 4 granite hills or outcrops, decomposed granite. And they all vary from distance to the ocean or distance to further inland. And that's basically the easiest way to dissect it. There's 4 granite hills. The one in the north is Klapmuts. Then we have the outcrop in the middle, Polkeddraai, and Stellenbosch Kloof Potlery Hills on that one, to the west of the town. And then the third one, which is to the south of Stellenbosch, is Sinai Hill. Sinai Hill is the closest viticultural area in Stellenbosch we have to the ocean, 3.5 kilometers from the ocean shore. There's no viticulture between here and the ocean or the sea there. And then we have Schapenberg, that's to the east, very close to where Waterkloof or where Waterkloof is situated. So those are our 4 very important granite outcrops in Stellenbosch, and Sinai Hill is just the one with probably the most maritime influence. So having that quite scarce for Chenin, and also being a southeast facing slope, meaning much more focused on the early morning sun rays, and also being bush vines trained quite close to the floor, low yielding, there's some concentration, and getting winds from the ocean during the afternoons and ripening is important, because I'm sitting here with a few factors that I really want to expose: poor soils, smaller canopies, and lower yields, and then the ocean proximity, which induces a lot of wind, which makes tannin for me. And wind also helps speed up the ripening process in a way, which make the wine grow up in a cooler phase of the year. And then also being bush vines, obviously that's built-in complexity for me. Unbalanced vineyard, bringing some balance in the wine in the end. So there's no acidifications or manipulations to the juice needed. By picking 3 times in a vineyard that's already kind of old and gnarled and have different aspects within the even same vines, you can get that detail of complexities in that already. So that's important for me, especially the wind factor that makes a little bit of extra tannin in the Chenin. That's something I don't get in a lot of other Chenin vineyards, and I want to expose that with the detail in here as well.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
It's interesting for me, looking at this 22 versus 2021 and 2020 and 19, there's a real fruit weight. There's a real sort of generosity in the core of this wine that the previous vintages have been really coiled and very restrained, but there's still an intensity there, but it's a different style of intensity. There's still it just seems a bit more open, essentially.
No, I think now getting it right even more with the purity. Before, my Chenin was, or this Granietsteen was always in older oak barrels, fermented and aged. 2021 sees the first vintage where I brought along some larger format concrete vessel to ferment and age the wine in. Just getting to even a further step to getting the purity of these grapes and as raw as possible, but keeping that balance. I find a little bit with more length and detail on the palate, and it fills your mouth a little bit more than it would have, because this vineyard has a lot of acidity. You know, it's beautiful, it's there, it's something that this vineyard has, but in putting it in the concrete, it squeezes that acidity to be much more part of the flavor profile towards the end of the palate as well. So I think that also helps with that more opulence on the palate.
But it's tempered by that beautiful sort of mineral, that salinity, that salty finish.
Yeah.
It sort of comes in and really sort of envelops that fruit really well.
Yeah, I think
it doesn't open up and get too over the top or rudderless. It brings some focus in, and as you say, that sort of bit of tension coming in at the end.
Yeah, I think reductive handling, but also the vintage again, being gentler in acidities. So this is probably the vineyard that gets the most wind from the ocean that we have.
Yeah. That's where you get that nice pithy bite. Yeah, it's.
Do you know the Macassar turn off?
Yeah.
Macassar turn off as you go up into the vineyards?
Furgrove,
Yeah. So it's up there, and then the vineyard rows more or less run north-south, kind of along the hillside there? Or?
Yeah, so it's like a semicircle on the contours of this hill, so on the southern slope, facing directly to the ocean. So if you stand in Granietsteen, you can actually see the little white break at the ocean shore. And it's make it quite unique. It's a long row, so you get different exposures and detail from the other opposite end of the rows, and also planting on contours between the fynbos area. It's quite unique. It's an old traditional way of planting vineyards. It's quite.
So essentially, if you looked at it from a bird's eye view, it sort of looks like a bent rectangle, sort of like a crescent
map
almost.
But yeah, that's Granietsteen. It's really one of a kind Chenin vineyard for me, and I hope to expose it in that way.